Just like yesterday afternoon, Google dropped their latest edition of Firebase Studio, which actually Firebase Studio existed a little bit before, but they have totally stepped up the game. So I decided today we're going to do a hot take video. What's that? A hot take video is I am not practicing anything up front. We're going to figure it out as we go, but we're going to walk through step by step exactly how it performs and build an app live as we go with hopefully minimal editing. But if I do edit, I'll tell you where it messed up and I had to go back and do it over again. So here we are in Firebase. By the way, if you're interested in videos about how to build applications, how to create an AI automation agency, make sure you hit subscribe and the like, along with ring the bell so that you can be notified when new videos come out. Today, I'm going to just sort of go through the steps on Firebase, but I do have other videos and I'm making videos on how you can go through the process of not just using AI to develop the apps, but using AI to define what your application is, to make an app that is something people actually are going to want to use or that a company wants to pay for if you would like to develop those. So we're going to do one more test, and this is my classic test that I do, and that is a dad joke. So come back here, start a new session in Gemini. I wrote a very short prompt, write a short one-page PRD for a dad joke app. I didn't tell it features, functions, what it's going to do. It came up with all that on its own. It came up with the goals for the app, who it's for, the user stories, the functional requirements, the non-functional requirements, success metrics, the release criteria. By the way, personal opinion, building out the PRD is the most important step. I tried to use my words correctly there, but I think that's right. It is the most important step to building an app, at least today. I know vibe coding, typing something in, build me a dad joke app. I could have put that prompt into Firebase, and we can probably test that sometime to see how that works versus the building out our own PRD first. But for now, I'm just going to say I think it is the most important piece. We've got that said, we've got the PRD for our dad joke app. We're going to come back over here. We're going to paste that into Firebase, all of the important information that we have there, and run from there. I'm not saying you can't vibe code and come up with that, but I think in the real world of developing apps that you're going to use, that you're going to sell, that's going to have purpose to somebody, it's really important to do that, because not just, and everybody's the AI doesn't need it, it can figure it out. That's great, but it doesn't know the business that you're in and the purpose that you're building these apps for. And I think thinking through that, no, I shouldn't say I think. I know thinking through that, developing who your market is and doing the research to figure out if there is a market there. While it's awesome to play with these app building tools, if you want to use it for real world business, you need to know those things before you build the app. That is going to be the difference between you and people that are just playing online. Soapbox off. And so it did the usual steps, gave us a recap of what we asked for, giving us some colors. So we're going to prototype this app out. Let's see in real time how long it takes. It should be a lot quicker than the other ones because it's a very simple, it's a simple application. It still does have to build everything out though. As you'll see here, and we'll look in a minute at the code structure, it's a TypeScript app. And so it has to build out all of the files and the folders and all the pieces that go into a TypeScript application. So it has to do that whole structure the first time. Once we've got it and we're updating, now we're just updating that file structure. But on the first go, it has to do that piece of it. Okay, so here we go. First iteration that was in real time to give you a feel for how long it took. Here's our first iteration. Before we look at it, I did mention building out the structure with the code, and you'll see it tells you if you want to see the code. You could pop up here and it will show you the code and the entire file structure. It looks a little like Visual Studio Code if you've used it. I'm pretty sure it has to be because it has the same extensions. So let's go, we'll look at that some other time. Go back in here into our prototyper. And we've got this. So daily dad joke, get your daily dose of corny humor. What animal is always at a game of cricket? A bat. Get it? Cricket, bat. Let's do a new joke. Bat at golf, join the club. That's pretty good. What do we got here? I never wanted to believe that my dad was stealing from his job as a road worker. I got home all the time. Okay. Uh, uh, I like that one. And now we don't know how it's getting these jokes right now. I'm assuming it's using Gemini, and I have an actual dad joke app that uses Gemini and a custom prompt. These are better than that one. So let's see why that is. But so it built that. It gave us, let's see, there's a history button, doesn't do anything. And then a share button that says loading. Oh, no, it's a little slow. It loaded the history. And so there's our past jokes, including some jokes that we didn't tell. So it probably has to clean that up a little bit. See if the share does. Unless it's just going to pick up soon, it's not doing anything. We'll worry about that later. Though I do want to add one new feature since we've gone through and done this. Let's see how it does with this. Okay, so we're going to ask for a box to provide for a certain topic for the joke. So if we want to find a good topic for our dad joke that we want to tell people, let's see how it does. Recoding. By the way, I noticed in the .env file, we've got the Gemini key, and there is no API key in there, so I'm not sure what it's trying to do. It hasn't asked us for one yet. Maybe it's thinking through that part of the process. And no sooner did I ask that, it is now asking for our API key, which I'm going to generate. I don't know how many API keys I have now after all these tests, but they're there. So it might just be running a little behind here. Let's see what it does. One thing unlike most of the coding apps, it gives you no feedback. So it said I don't see the text box to add the topic. And I would have said at one point in time, at least, you know what? I don't need feedback. You don't have to go and say to me, oh, I apologize for that. I see that's the case. Here's why it's not there. And here's how I'm going to fix it, because that's what most of them do. And I would have said, I don't care. Just go and fix it. And now that I've used apps that give me the feedback, and now that I've seen Firebase and it gives me no feedback, I gotta say, I like the feedback better. Two reasons, really. One, I know that it understood what I was saying. For some reason, that saying it's sorry matters. So I guess that's 3 reasons. But then the third, it tells me what was wrong. And so I actually can learn a little bit more about coding and code structure by saying, oh, this is what was wrong. It's in let's say in an Next.js app, there's a route missing, or it's in the route, but it's not in a certain page, and so on and so forth. I can actually learn a little bit about how that works. So after looking at this, you'll see we just have a spinning wheel here. And I said the app is not running. And now it's asking me to npm install or yarn install, and then to run the server, which is interesting because historically it did that for us. Let's go over here and look and see what we've got. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be running. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's supposed to be set up for us to have to go through and hit the terminal. It looks like it's building stuff out very slowly. So after waiting a really long time, I actually got the page to render. And what we're looking at now is what was in Firebase before. You had the cool prototyping thing on the back end. So we have that dad joke app here. We've got whatever file we're choosing to look at over here. And then on the right, we've got the agent and what I assume is supposed to be the rendering of a web outline. And on the agent here, let's try this out and see if this will work without going into the terminal and doing npm run dev. Let's see if the agent will do it for us. Yeah, it's offering it at least. There we go. So instead of me going to the terminal and typing in npm run dev, but you may not know to do that. And so it is helpful that it's doing that. And let's see what it did. It failed to start the server, unknown error. Let's see if it can help us do that. Let's just try to run the app again and calling out 3000. Okay. So it says it's running. And let's see on the web side, it just says error reaching server. So let's go back there and look at that. It did do something else. Let's see. Yeah. And so on this side of it, it does give me feedback, which I just mentioned was nice. I see there's an error reaching the server to help diagnose. Could you tell me? I see. Use errors, the application running on a different port. What steps? This is probably a little more work than you would expect for a non-coding app. I'm going to give it a little nudge here, but I just went and put the errors that are showing up in the terminal in there. It says it thinks it can figure it out. Updated it. Updated that. Let's try running it again. It restarted for us. Let's see if it's almost there. And it should be running. Nope. So after a bunch of things on the back end that you probably shouldn't have to do for an app, I went and came on the front end again. I got it running and it's running. We're back to where we started before we put the option to add a topic. We're not going to keep going through that today, but at least we saw a little bit about what it can do, maybe some of the issues that Firebase is still having, or should I say still, is having, being brand new, and just to give you a flavor for what the reality of using a no-code app is. But in the end, it builds the app, it does the things that we asked for, it does them very quickly, and it's pretty cool the way it works. I'm going to go through in some other videos, as I mentioned, about how to really structure up before you get to these no-code apps, how to do the work to get the app that you want to come out the back end. But if you'd like to see those videos, find out more about what we do, make sure you go below and check out other information about our channel. Make sure you hit subscribe and get information there. If you're interested in building an AI automation agency, or an agency that works with apps that use AI as automation on the back end, down in the link below, in the description, there's a link below. I said that right now. Or you can sign up and grab my AI automation agency ebooks, totally free, no hook to it. And you can find out more information about how to build out your own agency. Until next time, when we play with a few more of these, build out a couple more apps, make sure you get into Firebase Studio and check it out and see how you like it.